Hi, I'm Riley Moynes, author of The 4 Phases of Retirement and its sequel, The 10 Lessons. We're speaking with people who are squeezing all the juice out of their retirement, people with widely divergent backgrounds, experience, and expertise, people with stories that can inspire and encourage you too to squeeze all the juice out of your retirement. Thanks for joining us for today's conversation. Here we go. Welcome back, folks. This time we're talking with Jeff Merriman. Jeff is Field Director of Water Ambassadors of Canada, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that means and how he got involved as we go. But Jeff, welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you, Riley. Nice to be here.
I'm interested, if you would, tell us the background. Tell us what you did when you were working for a living, as they say.
I'll start a little bit earlier than when I started working.
Okay.
As long as I can remember, since I was a munchkin, I've been interested in mechanical things and how things work, and so consequently, I went into mechanical engineering, and I got a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, and then worked for a time in the mining industry, and then. Kind of changed course and went into environmental engineering here in Ontario.
What does that mean? Environmental engineering. Tell us about that.
Well, environmental engineering is a discipline that wasn't around when I graduated, but the environmental movement really took off in the early 60s with Rachel Carson's book Silent Spring, and people became aware of environmental issues and the need for preserving and restoring air and soil and groundwater that's contaminated and things like that. So you need engineering principles to help solve some of those problems. So environmental engineering kind of evolved. I'd say probably in the 70s, it became a formal discipline.
Okay. And what kind of activities then were part of environmental engineering?
Well, there's a whole range of activities, but anything that you can think of to do with the environment can benefit from environmental engineering. Air pollution, mitigating air pollution, improving water quality in streams and rivers or groundwater. The historical way of many companies in North America and around the world got rid of their waste was to bury it,
right.
and many of them did so without the knowledge of the implications of what that burial would be like, or what the impacts would be. So as a result, there's a lot of contaminated sites, contaminated soil and groundwater that needs to be cleaned up. So environmental engineering addresses a lot of those types of issues.
Okay. And you worked in that field for most of your working life?
Yeah, probably 2/3 of my working career. I worked as an environmental engineer, about 28 years. I worked for a chemical company that had been around for many decades and had a legacy of soil and groundwater contamination. So I worked for most of my career cleaning up contaminated groundwater.
Okay. And then you retired?
And then I retired.
Okay. What did that look like at first?
Well, it was a bit of a sense of relief because I tell people I was just getting weary of the grind, and we faced a lot of criticism from folks in the community, and I just got a little weary of doing the same thing, and I thought it was time for a change, and I decided to retire and pursue some other water issues.
Okay. Now, I know that you're involved heavily with Water Ambassadors Canada, wonderful organization. Tell me a little bit about how that evolved and how you got involved and the extent of your involvement today.
Well, I think it's kind of an interesting story about how I got involved with water ambassadors and water mission trips. My father was a physician, and he went every year on a medical mission trip to Central America, and he did that later in life. and as a result, he took a lot of his grandchildren, including our children, on these mission trips. And I was thrilled. I mean, it's a great experience for them and for anybody to experience, serving others on a mission trip. And so I was pleased that he took them. He took one every year. But in the back of my mind, I said, "Wow, Dad, I wish you'd taken me on a mission trip. I would love to do that." But I was in the middle of doing life in my 40s and 50s and a growing family, and just not the time or the resources to do that. So. Fast forward, a decade or two, my son met one of the people from Water Ambassadors from the Halliburton area and got invited to go on a water mission trip. So he went on a Water Ambassadors trip, and he came back and he was absolutely blown away. He was just amazed and humbled to serve like that. And he said, "Dad, you have to go on one of these trips." And I said, "Hey, I'm in. When do we go?" So the following year, we went on my first mission trip. So I think it's kind of cool that my father didn't ever take me on a fishing trip, but my son did.
Your son did.
So it kind of went full circle.
Nice. How long ago would that be now?
That was 2006.
Okay. And that turned things around for you, or it encouraged you to get more deeply involved? Tell me about that.
It was kind of a watershed experience for me. It wasn't at all what I expected, or not totally what I expected, because the motto of Water Ambassadors Canada is changing lives with clean water. So I thought in my mind, well, we'll go there and we'll serve some people, and it was Guatemala that we went to, and we'll help them get clean water and we'll change their lives. Well, I think we did indeed help them and it changed their lives, but more importantly, it changed my life. It just totally changed me and gave me a different perspective on what's important, and it gave me a real appreciation for how fortunate we are, how blessed we are here in Canada,
right,
to live in a country like this. And it gave me a new focus and a new appreciation that I said I want to do more of this.
Right. And you did. You went on subsequent mission trips?
I went on trips almost generally every year for quite a few years, for about 10 years.
Wow.
And then I retired, and I had a little more time on my hands. And at the same time, Water Ambassadors had a vacancy come open for the position that I now have, scheduling trips and things like that. So they asked me if I would like to work for them part-time.
I see.
And it took me about a millisecond to decide the answer to that one.
Right.
So and for the past 3 years since I've retired, I've been working for Water Ambassadors, and I'm enjoying every day of it.
Mm-hmm. What's involved in your role as field director? Give us some of the details of your involvement there and how you prepare the groups that are going.
We always partner with an in-country individual or organization. We don't want to parachute in there, metaphorically,
right,
and we need somebody that understands the culture, the logistics, and they can arrange for lodging and transportation, and they will know where the needs are, where the wells that need to be drilled or repaired. So I work with our in-country partners in many Central and South American countries, and we talk about priorities for what type of help we can provide to them in terms of clean water solutions, and we schedule trips, and then our Water Ambassadors utilizes volunteer teams. We go on short-term mission trips, usually for 1 week, and so I with some of our office staff in our Toronto office, we we schedule the trips, and then we provide information for people. We give them some indication of what the trips are going to be like, and then we assign a team leader to travel with the team, an experienced individual who's been on many trips and can kind of act as a host and coordinator for the trip.
How many of these trips would ordinarily be organized during the course of a year?
In the range of a dozen. We hope to be. We have plans to increase the number of trips we do because there's such a need for clean water in the developing world, and we want to do more, and I think we can do more. So we're planning to over the next couple of years to add more projects and more trips.
What are some of the countries that you tend to focus your attention on?
The focus these days is primarily on Central America. We were heavily involved in Nicaragua, but due to some political turmoil over the last year and a half, we haven't been back to Nicaragua. But we've kind of moved a lot of our operations to Honduras, and we have a wonderful host in Honduras that we work with to do well repairs and water purification systems in Honduras. We also work in Guatemala and El Salvador, and we've been a couple of times this year to Colombia with helping with water purifiers, and we have plans to expand to Ecuador later this year, and we're always looking for opportunities where we can assist and help people with clean water.
Right. Now, my understanding is that there are kind of a range of services that you provide when you're in these countries, one of which, of course, is well drilling, and then there's also well repair where required. What else?
I'll comment just a little bit on the well repairs. In the developed world and here in Canada and North America, if one of your municipal services breaks down, you can usually make a phone call and in some reasonable time it'll get fixed. Not the case in Central America and in Honduras, where we've done a lot of work recently. I'll tell you just one situation from a year ago. We traveled to a school in rural Guatemala. Honduras, excuse me. And there was a broken well outside the school. So we asked the teacher through our translator, how long has the well been broken? And she said, I've been here 18 years and it was broken when I got here. And I was shocked. I thought that's got to be an anomaly. But subsequently we spoke to other folks, and that's not atypical for something to be broken that long. And I just can't imagine kids that they bring a little bit of water with them to school, but chances are it's from a hand-dug well and it's not clean. So anyway, getting back to our story about the school in Honduras, we asked the teacher, would you like us to repair the well? Well, she said, absolutely. And so within 3 hours, we had the old pump pulled out and a brand new pump installed, and they were pumping clean water for the first time in over 18 years. Well, talk about overjoyed teacher and children. So I think I got a little off track there, but
not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
So you asked about other solutions. So well repairs are a big part of it because of the lack of infrastructure and sustainable installations. A lot of those wells were put in with the best of intentions many years ago, but with zero follow-up and with no one to call if it breaks and no infrastructure in the country so they stay broken for a long time. And there are literally thousands of wells that are broken around the world. And so we try to address some of that. One of the other water solutions that we implement where appropriate is water purification. And one of the ones that we frequently install is a portable chlorinator. Now, chlorine is a common disinfectant that's used in many modern cities here in Waterloo and in Toronto and many cities around the world. Well, this is a portable chlorinator that uses ordinary table salt. For those who remember their chemistry, salt is, of course, sodium chloride, and this is an electrolytic cell that will break the sodium chloride into its constituent elements, and it releases chlorine gas. And we can chlorinate water with a 12-volt car battery and a handful of table salt. And it's just remarkable technology. And we recently provided 4 of those units for people in Colombia who were helping their refugees from their neighboring country of Venezuela.
Right. Let's go back to the well repair. I think in many people's minds, the most dramatic aspect of all this is drilling a new well and the water spouts up and everybody's happy. Mm-hmm. But in fact, there's really more leverage involved in well repair, isn't there?
There is, yeah. If there's an existing well, the well itself is usually fine. It's not broken, but it's the pump that's inside that we use to extract the water from, at depth, down, at 50 or 100 feet deep. Right. Most of these are hand pumps. So if the well is there, and it's just got a broken pump in it, it doesn't make much sense to drill a brand new well and install a brand new pump in it. So we simply remove the old pump, put a brand new pump in, and it's they're good for years to come. And we try to make sure that these are sustainable solutions. So we always leave them contact information for our organization through our in-country partners, so they can call if there's a problem with the well, and we can send somebody to fix it.
Now, on one of these mission trips that might last a week or so, and you were attempting to drill a well, how many wells could you drill in 1 week?
In 1 week, we drill one well.
Right. One
well for a village.
But when it comes to pump repair, you can do a lot more.
We can do 6 to 8, or sometimes even more than that. Sometimes we've done as many as roughly 10 pump repairs in a week.
Right.
So you're right. There's more leverage there, and we can get more bang for the buck, as it were, with a team and the resources that we've expended to get down to that Central American country.
And so, what would be the impact of a repaired well on a school or on a community? How many people might be impacted by a well that's now been repaired?
Typically, we're talking hundreds of people. There's a well. A well, it usually serves a community of a small community, which might be 20 to 50 families, and we kind of, as a rule of thumb, say 5 people per family with mom and dad and 3 kids. So if you have 50 families times 5, that's 250 people.
Right.
So and in a week, if we do 5 wells, we've helped over 1,000 people.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
tremendous leverage.
And it, again, the motto of the organization is changing lives with clean water. And it does change their lives, because they had water before somewhere, because everyone has to have water. You get water from a river, or they get it from a shallow hand-dug well. But often those wells are right beside the farm fields where they spray pesticides, or they're just down gradient from the latrines that are dug. Right. So almost invariably, those shallow dug wells are contaminated, and people get sick. And when we can provide them clean and safe water with restoring a deeper well with clean water, or installing a water purifier, it changes the lives of that community. And I'll just give you a brief example. Mm-hmm. In Colombia earlier this year, we stopped at a community where Water Ambassadors had installed a water purifier a year ago. And we stopped in and said, "Hey, how's it going? Is it working?" And they said, "It's working fabulously. We use it every single day." And he said, before we had the purifier, every child in the community had diarrhea. And I just can't imagine how, unpleasant that would be, And they said, since the water purifiers installed, this is the portable chlorinator, nobody is sick. Everyone's fine. And it's a life changer for those people, because when kids are sick, they can't go to school. When dad's sick, he can't work as the breadwinner.
Yeah.
And so it's just clean water is so essential, and it's just I'm glad that I can be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. Now, the volunteers who accompany you or who are part of these mission trips that last about a week or so, what kind of people are they, and what do they do when they're down there?
We get people from all walks of life. From I think our youngest has been 15 years old, and the oldest that I'm aware of was about 84 years old. People don't require prior experience because we provide on-the-job training.
Right.
And if we're doing well repairs, we take the time on day one of the repairs to walk through things slowly and carefully and answer people's questions and help them understand. So on a well repair trip, we would typically load up a couple of pumps and go to a pre-designated village where we would meet the community people and we chat for a bit. We just don't dive in and roll up our sleeves. We try to engage the people a bit and chat, and then we repair their wells. And everyone on a trip gets to experience all aspects of the work that's to be done. Mm-hmm. So we try to rotate shifts, and we sometimes get some type A personalities that roll up their sleeves and they want to push everyone aside and say, "Here, stand back, let me do it." Well, we try to balance that.
Right. When was it that you came to realize that this was something that was vitally important for you and was very meaningful for you? When did that? Was there an aha moment, or did it evolve?
I think it evolved. It evolved to some degree, but there was kind of a crescendo. Let me explain. After the first trip that I went on with my son, I was deeply moved, and I thought, this is what I want to do. This is what I need to do. Mm. It gives me such satisfaction to be helping people like that. And as a Christian, I felt like I was doing Christ's calling, to help provide a drink of clean water in His name. So, so I felt right from the get-go that this is what I wanted to do. But I want to relay an experience I had on a subsequent trip to Guatemala. We were drilling a well, and part of the well drilling process is after the well's installed, we need to develop the well, which means putting a series of pipes down to the bottom of the well, injecting air, and that air bubbles in the water lifts the water out of the well, and it's called air lifting. So use that to clean up the water in the well. So the pipe that we install in the well was like 1-inch plastic pipe threaded together. And one of the as they were lowering the pipe into the well, one of the couplings broke, and several lengths of pipe fell down to the bottom of the well. And we thought, how are we going to get this out? And our Guatemalan host, the driller, we tried a couple of things, and we couldn't grab this pipe. We didn't have any means of grabbing that pipe. But all of a sudden I had the aha moment. So this broken piece of pipe fell down the well, and that's potentially catastrophic, because if we can't get the pipe out of the well, the well can't function. We can't get a pump down. So it was critical to get this pipe out of there. And all of a sudden I had the light bulb came on. It was this revelation, and I had a picture in my mind of exactly what we had to do to retrieve this pipe. And I had, basically it involved fashioning a coupling and with some, well, I won't get into the details, but I had this clear picture instantly in my mind of what we had to do. And so we built this little device and lowered it down and grabbed the pipe and fished it out.
Wow.
and it was such an you describe it as an aha moment. It was, and it was if everything I'd done for my whole working life, and even before, with working with mechanical things, it all kind of came together. And I had this picture in my mind of exactly what we had to do, and it worked. And I thought, wow, that's what I've been working for.
Right. Right.
So I think it was some divine inspiration. It was just like snapping your fingers, and the light came on, and I could see exactly what had to be done.
Wow.
And it worked. We fished the pipe out. We had a successful well. So it was quite a moment. I'll never forget it.
Great story. Love it. So, what you're involved with now, Jeff, how do you relate that, or do you relate it to your previous life's work?
Yeah, it is related in some ways. I wouldn't say it's directly related, but in my working career, I worked cleaning up contaminated groundwater, and we had a series of many wells. So I had a lot of experience with wells and maintaining them, and pipelines and pumps and all that sort of thing. So that was like perfect background for what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I'll just digress for a minute and tell you a little story. In my working career, we worked for many years at the company I was at. Over 20 years, we worked on cleaning up contaminated groundwater. We spent tens of millions of dollars. And people in the community where we lived, we were making progress. The water was getting cleaner, but it really hadn't impacted people's lives in the community here in Ontario where we were working, because they had clean municipal water to drink beforehand. So I would contrast, years of work and tens of millions of dollars and really no impact on people's lives. I'd go on a mission trip for a week, and we'd spend a few $1,000s, and we'd change people's lives forever.
Yeah.
And I thought, what's more important? So I really had a hard time getting back in the game, as it were, when I got back to work, because I thought, I would rather be in Guatemala or Nicaragua.
Making a difference.
Making a difference in people's lives, where people, I guess the people in the community, some of them at least, really didn't appreciate all that was being done to help restore the groundwater. And I think that's part of my frustration. That's why I was ready to, for something different, as I approached retirement.
Right. Jeff, the theme of our podcast series is squeezing all the juice out of retirement. What does that phrase mean to you, and how does that, or does it impact, or has it impacted your latter few years?
I think it's, squeezing all the juice out of retirement means being happy and content in retirement and in what I'm doing. And I am more than that. I'm incredibly content and grateful and excited about what I'm doing. And my retirement actually is not at all what I envisioned it to be. Well, I knew I was going to be involved in water to some degree because I had been doing trips before, but the extent of the work that I'm now doing, and the joy that I get from serving others and helping get clean water, it's just very, very gratifying. I'm having a ball.
Good for you. Good for you. One of the phrases that we sometimes throw around and suggest is that people shouldn't retire, at least in the traditional sense, but that what they should try to do is to rewire. How does that resonate with you?
I was told once that you need to plan for retirement like it's another job. You need to think about it as a new occupation. Well, I had a pretty good idea what I would be doing when I retired. At least I thought I did, because I have a lot of different hobbies and things like that. So I had a picture of what I would do, but it's turned out to be much busier than I thought it would be, and I'm doing a lot more with water, and I'm doing a lot more with some other things that I enjoy, like helping a friend in his home renovation business. And I'm a motorhead. I like working on antique cars and hot rods, so I've spent a lot of time building my hot rod and things like that. So
Right.
so it's just a great degree of satisfaction. Yeah.
Wonderful. Jeff, thank you very much for your time and for spending time with us here and sharing your experiences at Water Ambassadors. It's much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
I hope you've enjoyed today's conversation and that you'll join us again next time as we help you squeeze all the juice out of retirement. I'm Riley Moynes. Bye for now.